Hey Mark, hey Orly, and hey whoever else is here. Sorry for the slight delay. It has been a busy day. Busy week, actually. And I was hyper focused on something, and then all of a sudden it was like 8:25. I've done that again. Whoa, we just jumped up to 6. We're on a roll. Hey everybody. Um, wow, this is very darkly lit right now. Hey Michelle. Um, And look, the Bucks came, and it's really. I promise the cover is not this dark in person. The lighting apparently just sucks in here right now. Is that helping at all? A little bit. But anyway, yeah. So I picked these up today. Hot off the presses. I'm gonna start packaging them up soon. I got everything else more or less packaged. I basically just have to slide the books in there, but I also want to sign them and stuff. So they're gonna start going out pretty quick. Thought I'd show it off before I started drawing. So yeah, that's exciting. Now I gotta place this somewhere within reach where it's not gonna get wrecked. By the way, look how thick this thing is. Holy shit! Look at that! Look at it! Look at it! Oh, actually, you know what? I should do this. I'm not selling this here. I should do a quick flip. Look at this. Do one of these bad boys. Go fast enough to avoid spoilers, I suppose. Or attempt to, anyway. I'm surprisingly not good at the page flipping for an animator. But, you know, anyway, there it is. But anyway, let's put this down and let's yeah, there's a couple people that'll get theirs extra fast because I happen to be seeing them tomorrow. But a lot of you will get it pretty soon after that as well, I think. Hang on. I got what I was working on earlier piled up on the side here. Oh, oh, oh. You mean like the full novel? I thought it worked. Or do you mean like the chapters within it? There is a one on the side, on the spine, so that it can be it will be one of 3 in the long term. But they all work fairly standalone. There's a bigger story for all 3 of them, but no, because that would be like you'd have to actually that would be like separate print runs every time to add the number in there, unless I hand wrote it in there, I guess. But uh, it's actually a little late to even do that because uh, I had lunch with my parents today, so they already have their copies as well. So no, but I am signing them all. I'm doing a little sketch inside each as well, so they will be unique. But anyway, so today's stream, I am gonna redesign the 3 spirits from A Christmas Carol. So the Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, and the Ghost of Christmas Future, also known as the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And this is not high on my priority list of dream projects. I don't see me ever doing this unless I actually had a deal with Netflix or even CBC or something to like air this thing. But I always thought it'd be fun to do a horror adaptation of A Christmas Carol because it's literally a ghost story. So whether or not I ever actually pursue that as a thing remains to be seen. But I thought it'd be fun to do my first crack, or technically second crack, first real crack at a slightly creepier look at the spirits. So let's do that. I have some reference material off to the side. Nothing from any previous adaptation of A Christmas Carol, just some 19th century clothing that I'm going to kind of work off of. And let's do it. Decide which one I want to start with from a compositional standpoint. Hey, Arlie. Okay, let's do Christmas present first. So my intent is to kind of still go with the classic impression or spirit, as it were, for each one, but play with it a little bit. So like the Ghost Christmas Future, for example, isn't going to be a classic Grim Reaper look, but he will have a very similar vibe and be a bit creepier compared to others and stuff. But my intent is to make them all a little bit creepy. Thank you, Early. No worries. By the way, I searched for 19th century overweight man for some reference, just to see what kind of like outfits might come up or whatever that I could use for this one, for the Ghost of Christmas present. And a very specific person came up. I'm already forgetting the name though, but he was like some well-to-do person or heir of some business or something, but he was like famous for how huge he was. So I wish I could remember his name offhand. We have a little history lesson in here, but whoops. But he's serving as some inspiration for Ghost of Christmas present. I haven't decided how much exactly I'm going to take from him, but his anatomy at least. Or something like that. I'm going to make him float though. Alright. So it's the base of that guy. And now we're here. What are we all up to tonight as we watch? Had a feeling, Michelle. Had a feeling. A hard drive caddy. As in the thing that the hard drive sits inside the tower. cool. Sounds good, Orly. That is actually what I was working on right before going live. I have almost all of the current 9 inked now. And I don't quite know what to expect from tonight's stream in terms of length. As long as I'm not dead by the end of it, I might be able to finish inking them. And maybe if that 10th one is actually ready to go, maybe I'll even throw that one in there too. But we'll see. Oh yeah, you're working on a script, Mark? A feature script? Cool. How long have you been working on it? Is this one that you would hope to direct? Or we're just looking to try to sell it? Cool, cool. Okay. When you say years, is that years actively writing the script, or years kind of working out details and outlining and all that kind of stuff? Gotcha. I recently got excited about a movie idea myself, and I've been writing notes like a madman in the background. I made a Google Doc so that I can add new notes and ideas at any given moment. And actually, now that I mentioned that, I just remembered I had an idea at lunch I forgot to write down. Hopefully it stays with me long enough to add it later. So there's the Gross to Christmas future there, basically penciled already. So instead of going full Green Reaper, I'm kind of just using a shredded up like winter coat essentially from the era, and and it's like kind of an Invisible Man kind of thing. No arms or anything of that nature. Just floating apparition. I don't know whether or not I'm going to color this. If I do, I might add like a misty effect coming out of it though. Yeah, I have a lot of things going. I have 2 different notebooks, one for each for two different ideas, for one for each. That for a while I was really good about carrying around, but sometimes I would forget, um, and then I would have to like message it to myself and then transfer it later and stuff. So for this new idea, I did the Google Doc, but I also bought a sketchbook specifically for this new idea so that I could just load it up with visual ideas as well. This is the Ghost of Christmas Past that I'm now doing. And the Ghost of Christmas Past often looks a little angelic and also very childlike. So I've decided to go kind of full on baby ghost because I thought that would be creepy. It's usually the most ethereal of the ghosts in the different adaptations. Well, the book as well. I have read the original Christmas Carol. It's a pretty fast read. I think I read it in like just a couple hours. So what I'm thinking, essentially, it's like a baby ghost, like a dead baby, but with very long, oversized outfit. It can like billow and blow in the wind and catch the light and all this stuff. Does anybody have a favorite version of A Christmas Carol? Favorite adaptation? Bill Murray. For films, mine would be a toss up between Scrooged with Bill Murray, or Muppets Christmas Carol. But I also have a special admiration for Mickey's Christmas Carol, just because I find like it's a very well done and very accurate adaptation of the story that still takes its time to like have fun with it. Um, but all in the context of like a 22-minute TV special, and it never feels rushed, and that's always impressed me. I don't mind the Jim Carrey one, but like it's a very serious take, and after having like it's much more true to the tone of the novel, but like after growing up with so many um, more lighthearted adaptations, it's like it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow. I'm pretty sure I said this before, and I'm pretty sure Billy agreed with me that this music sounds so much like Blade. Opening scene of Blade. I haven't played Cyberpunk. Well, I've seen some gameplay and trailers and stuff, of course. So I kind of know what you mean, but I can't really comment on it. Somewhat inspired by Scrooged. I'm giving him a top hat with Holly on it. Oops. Knocked the camera there. So, big fat guy, like the traditional Ghost of Christmas Present, but very dead looking, of course. And more of a cape kind of looking thing. What'd you think of Arcane, Mark? It's 3D animation. The biggest thing is just like the texturing that they did for it was like I don't know if there was anything different about the approach from a technical standpoint than what we typically see. It's just that the texturing was done very deliberately to kind of mimic like a digital painting look, so that the stills always had that look. But then for all the effects like fire, water, smoke, explosions, all that was like drawn, like animated frame by frame, like traditionally and stuff, which gave it a more well, obviously 2D, more cartoony look and everything. Um, I feel like it was the style of it. I think was similar to the approach that Spider-Verse did, except they didn't do it on twos. They did it on ones that kept the motion blur and stuff, so it didn't have that almost stop motiony kind of look. And they didn't do the like the line work overlays and stuff. Um, but the approach to the texturing I think is pretty similar. And then they did that. I love the like when Jinx is being all trippy and freaking out and stuff. They did the like almost like film scratches on top of it and everything. It was very cool. Not that I'm aware of. I really doubt it. Usually you can recognize mocap. It usually looks a little jilted, and this was pretty lively. If there was some mocap involved, I think the animators probably did quite a bit of cleanup after it. Although if anybody else is, I haven't seen any behind the scenes stuff though, so if anybody else knows better, definitely speak up. Totally. Yeah. Also, did I just hear a notification buried in the music there? Oh yeah, Brad just started hosting me. Thanks, Brad. BC Bot Killer. But yeah, no, I very much agree, Rick. All right, I think we're already ready to start inking this thing. I'm not minding these designs. If I ever were to pursue a project like this, I would definitely play around with it more. I'd do a bunch of different versions. But I gotta say, for just diving in, I'm not minding this. Speaking of like talking, characters talking to themselves. Um, in preparation for Spider-Man No Way Home, I rewatched the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and I was actually thinking like, Gollum gets so much credit for his performance talking to himself and stuff, or Andy Serkis and everything. And I actually use a Gollum, some stills from a Gollum scene in Two Towers to show about like a reason to break the line of action, like on for a reason, because they use it to make it look like he's talking to another person, even though he's talking to himself. And I realized watching Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, that they beat Peter Jackson to it because Willem Dafoe does that, and they break the line for the same reason. And I mean, I've always thought he was really good in that role, but I haven't watched that movie in probably close to 10 years, and seeing it anew, it's kind of reminded of what a great actor Willem Dafoe is, actually, because when he's talking to himself there, he's like completely changing his character back and forth constantly, like in a fairly drastic sense as well. So, thanks, Riley. I'm fairly happy with it. I think that if I wasn't cramming him into this page with the others, I might have posed him a bit different. Maybe had him whipping around a little bit more and stuff. Um, but I kind of like the way it looks as well. Clothing. So it's like it's wearing like just a really oversized robe or something. And it doesn't really show much in the pencil, but once I finish the line work on the robe, I'm going to kind of imply a bit of a shape underneath it. Nothing says creepy like a dead baby. Couldn't bring myself to look up reference of dead babies though. Couldn't do it. Could not do it. Without getting into any spoilers or details or anything, Mark, what's your well, actually, maybe we stay away from plot stuff, I guess. But what genre is your script in? If you don't mind sharing. I believe it. Definitely believe it. A few years ago, I bought Zodiac on Blu-ray, the movie, and after the movie, there was like a shit ton of bonus features and stuff on it, and I love watching all the bonus features, especially the making of stuff and everything. But uh, there was like what I thought was a featurette about the real life Zodiac killer, and turned out to be a feature length thing. So I ended up watching this like 2 hour plus thing all about it, and just all the crime scene photos, and like even though I knew it was based on a true story, the movie didn't bother me that much. But seeing the actual crime scene photos, that sent me to bed with a weird mood. Oh wow! So seasonal. Does this time of year get you more amped to work on it then, Mark? Good to see that early. Alright, well, we're going at a pretty good clip here. The Ghost of Christmas Past is already done, guys. Yeah, I can imagine. I did a Christmas-based graphic novel a few years ago, and it was the first like comic project of my own that I really like took seriously. Like I'd done tons of my own comics before, but this was like, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna put it out in the world, put it in a Comixology, yada yada yada, and but I hadn't taken on a comic project that big really before, and I completely um, misjudged. It was like the first time I did the full-sized 11 by 17 paper and everything. Completely misjudged how long it would take, and so I ended up spending like I was working on it through most of the summer, and it was just weird to be in this like Christmas headspace for like an entire year. I decided to go with horror for the music choice again tonight. Next Christmassy one, I might go a little bit more festive. Or maybe I won't. I'll just throw you off. Who knows? I am nothing if not a rebel. Hey JC. Starting things off on a high note makes sense. How are you, JC? Is this another sketch assignment, or do you have to write a just a comedy script in general, or treatment for it at least? Other than that, I'm doing fine, JC. My the graphic novels arrived today. Well, I had to go pick them up, but they arrived at the printer last night, and I picked them up today. Gotcha. So you're stressing over it, but are you excited that it's the last one of the term? Well, but you have it again next term, though, don't you? I feel like even if it's not your thing creatively, it would be a fun class anyway, because the whole point is to make people laugh. So even if you feel like writing comedies in your strong suit, I feel like there would be a lot of fun to be had just talking about the subject and hearing other people's ideas and stuff. You know. Oh, I didn't know it was an elective. I thought you had to take it anyway. See, you gave me shit for wondering if you wanted to play put a racist song on the Discord, but you literally just said I could be as racist as I want with this group, and this is like a major selling point for you. This is why I make these assumptions, JC. What if you were Caucasian from another country? Would that have made a difference? For anybody dying to know my holly drawing process, I felt like 3 sprigs wasn't enough, but I don't like doing even numbers for that kind of thing. So 4 theoretically was enough, but just didn't look right to me. So it's got 5 sprigs. And now you know. That's a rock fact. Yep. Probably never even thought such a thing existed, did you? I actually have no idea. Maybe there's tons of Caucasians in the Philippines. I'm sure there's at least a couple. I'm kind of tempted to make this ghost cape thing black, but I don't want it to blend in too much with this guy. But that's definitely something else I would experiment with if I was to ever do another design pass of these characters. But at any given time, there might be a couple, right? The ones that haven't given up yet. Upside down inkin. Ink, 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 ink. This music is super weird, and yet I keep going back to the horror soundtrack every once in a while. this guy is dead, just imagine how much bigger he would have been while alive, right? Because theoretically, he's lost some mass at this point. Yeah, that counts. It counts. Could be any genre. You could go seasonal. Parody, like a Hallmark Christmas movie or something. You don't even need to watch one for reference. You just watch the trailers for them. You'll know all you need to know. See, neither have I. But if you watch some trailers, I think it's honestly pretty low hanging fruit. But there's a lot of people that watch them, uh, well aware of how terrible they are, just because they kind of like them this time of year. So it could strike a chord if there's anybody in your class that's been watching them lately. I know a guy that has worked on a shit ton of them. A lot of them are filmed here. Apparently, they pay pretty well for the writers too. Oh no, 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 very much not. But some people like them. But I don't like. Okay, anybody who's listening that has a genuine love for the Hallmark movies, whatever your take on them is totally valid. So I'm not knocking anybody. But I don't think I've met anybody that I know a few people that enjoy Hallmark movies around Christmas, but I don't think I know anybody that doesn't watch them with at least some level of irony. Some definitely take them more seriously than others, but I don't think any really claim that they're great movies. Of the people I know personally, I mean, doesn't mean that there aren't those out there that genuinely like them. Very much. Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, like there's a lot filmed here. Like I said, I know one guy who's probably worked on every one of them that's been done in the last like 5 years or so. Um, and yeah, apparently a pretty decent writing gig as well. And they're so formulaic that they're not that hard to write, from what I understand. I've never watched them to be able to tell you exactly what the standard beats are of the formula, but have you ever worked on one, Mark? Also, besides Hallmark, specifically JC, there's a lot of Hallmark-esque Christmas movies. Netflix usually puts a few out every year. Somebody was talking about one the other day, but I forget what the hell it was called. It had like a pun name. Oh, it was Night Before Christmas, but spelled with a Knight. It's because they're produced by Hallmark. It's like a company called Hallmark. It's the same company that makes the Christmas cards. Yes, for real. They have a channel, the Hallmark channel. So they're made for TV movies for the Hallmark channel. And then other networks will sometimes pick them up and show them as well. Like it's got the same logo and everything, that like golden handwritten Hallmark. Yeah. Yes. Technically, they don't just make Christmas cards. They also do like they make collectibles and stuff. And I don't know what else the network shows though, other than those movies. Like I assume there's more to it than just those movies, but yeah, that's the thing. They're just run of the mill, feel good type movies. Not a lot going on with them. Okay, Riley, thanks for coming by. So wait, if you're writing a parody on porn, was the fuck it a pun? When you went dog, I didn't know where you were headed. Were you about to make fun of me for that, or were you about to be in support of that? I don't really know how I felt about it myself, so it really could have gone either way. Hard to make complete sense of what I'm doing here because of all the overlapping. Once I do my spot blacks, I'm going to do a little bit more in that area, but we're almost at our spot black stage, so. Okie doke. But depending on how quick you're talking, maybe you're already back by the time I saw that message. I don't know. Sounds good, Mark. See you then. Good night. Good night. Super gross feet. Welcome back, JC. Trying to apply cellulite without making it look like hair. Not an easy thing. Not entirely sure I'm succeeding here. Maybe that works. Yeah, I could totally see that actually. I was definitely thinking Tim a bit when I was kind of inking his eyes. And you're very right about Penguin wearing a. In his case, it wasn't really a cape; it was more of a jacket. But still, and then you throw the top hat in there. So yeah, I wasn't thinking that, but you're very, very correct on that. I think, JC. All right, let's start doing our spot blacks then. Now that you've settled on a theme for your sketch, JC, are you off to the races? Actually, wait, when you disappeared really quick, was that because you had to go watch some reference? That no is not convincing at all, gotta say. Okay. Alright. I'm not gonna name names, so don't even ask. Um, Although I don't think you know the person anyway, JC. But one time, a couple months ago, in during classical animation, guy in class wanted to show me his one of his assignments for feedback, and uh, when the video ended, it auto played the next video in the folder, and that video was porn. So you had porn playing for a minute during the class. Fun times. Now, when you say you acted it out, JC, can't decide if I want more information or not. Yeah, I know. Well, it wasn't even on their phone, it was on their desktop, but. Gotcha. know, it's a good sketch. Not porn related, but a good sketch you should check out. I haven't seen it in a long time. Um, but something reminded me of it the other day. It's called. Okay, there might be a few with this name, so I'll try to remember to actually post the link on the Discord after. I think it's called Spare Some Change. But I'll try to remember to post it later. Because I always really like the. It's a good example of subverting expectations as well. I think you said it earlier, but I only just noticed the clown comment. It was actually weirdly censored as well. Like, it was blurred. Like, there was no, or part of it was. I think the bottom half, I think, was blurred. So I actually teased him more about that than the fact that he had porn, and suggested other members of the class show him where to find the uncensored stuff. Let alone censored porn. I mean, at least get the good shit, right? Oops. Now, in his defense, though, as far as saving is concerned, there could have been a purpose for it. Like, maybe he was planning on using this in some way. I don't know what way exactly, but maybe. If he was planning on editing like a supercut or something, you would need to download the footage. Huh. Interesting. I wasn't there when this happened, but another similar story. This is way before the pandemic. Um, a couple of girls in a class were um, flipping through pictures on a guy in the class's phone. Just to, I can't remember. There was a reason for it, and they were kind of teasing him about it or something. And then they ended up swiping to a dick pic, and not his own, by the way. But it was like, and he was like had a pretty good sense of humor about it and stuff. But it was also kind of awkward because he was kind of just learning certain things about himself, hence having someone's dick pic on his phone. Um, and luckily was very open about things, or that could have been a really bad situation. But it was also funny to hear all of them, including him, talk about it later. I think it was like the first thing they told me the next time they had a class with me, which was like later that day or the next day or something. Because he admitted it. Like I said, he was pretty open. And again, I wasn't there. I did not see this. I only heard about it secondhand. There was a woman in, I think, Seattle that actually opened a art exhibit that was all of the unsolicited dick pics that she had gotten over the years. I think the first time I ever heard the notion of a dick pic was on like a sitcom or something, and then when I later found out how common dudes just randomly send pictures of their dicks to women, I was like flabbergasted. I was like, what? Like, what? People do that? Why would you do this? Solicited, fine. Unsolicited, what? Because you're writing a thing about porn, JC. Change the subject then if you want to. No one was talking, so I just ran with what you gave me. They made fun of you for liking to write screenplays? Why? I remember a friend being like the first time he heard that I like to write for fun, kind of blew his mind. Like he didn't make fun of me for it, but he didn't understand how anybody could do that because I started like writing like books and scripts and stuff when I was in like middle school probably. Um, and he was just like, "You write for fun?" And, like he didn't know that people did that. That's pretty shitty. I gotta be honest. There was a guy I went to high school with that was honestly just a dick all around. Um, and he tended to look down on anybody that wasn't like a doctor or a lawyer kind of thing. Um, he would make kind of sideways remarks about people's parents that worked in construction and stuff, which is super douchey, and strongly implied that anybody that goes into the arts is only doing it because they're not smart enough to do anything else. And he just like was pretty happy to never see that guy again. In hindsight, like he was kind of like part of my like the circle that I hung around with, but I don't actually know if anybody really liked him. I think he was just kind of there. And we kind of put up with him. He was JC, um, but so were some of the artists that he was saying this shit to. So I very much agree, Michelle. It's back. Um, well, I don't think. Okay, there's a difference between playful teasing for an art student, um, and uh, and just making fun of somebody for pursuing the arts. Like, I don't think that's cool at all. What is really stupid about looking down on anybody in construction, though, is like, hey, literally, you wouldn't have a roof over your head right now. Like, and then when something breaks and you have no clue how to fix it, like, who are you calling? You know, like, and you're gonna look down on the person that practically just saved your life by coming and fixing whatever the hell was wrong. Like, the thing I remember him saying that got my attention in terms of the construction thing is I don't remember exactly what the conversation was about. It was I think it might have been about a specific person and referencing their dad being in construction or something. And he said, well, apparently his dad's like the foreman or like the head of the construction job or whatever phrase he would have used. Because I feel like he wouldn't even know the phrase foreman. Um, and then he kind of like pauses and he was like, although I noticed that everybody claims that their dad is like the leader of the or whatever, and like I think that was him trying to suggest that people were lying about the specific position of their parents in the trade, in whatever trade, because it was like something to be looked down upon. So they were trying to spin it in a positive way. I think is where he was headed with that. There was other stuff too, but that was the first one I remember getting my attention and pissing me off. And and because of other stuff he had said, I was pretty confident that's what he meant by it. As if people would be embarrassed to say that their parent worked in construction if they weren't like in a managerial type position within it or something like that. Well, I was 15. I know my dad would have verbally shit kicked him if he was present for one of those comments. For that one that I just outlined, I wouldn't say anything because he didn't come right out and say anything negative. I just knew him well enough at that point to know where his head was at when he was saying that. But I did call him out on other stuff, but I think it usually just went over his head because he didn't take what anybody had to say that seriously, typically, if it wasn't coming out of his own mouth. Yeah, there's a 3 year gap between my parents actually. I think it's only weird if they're really young. Like if we're talking 13 and 16, then 3 years is like a lot. But generally speaking, I don't think it's much. Yeah, yeah. Well, I literally just said my parents have a 3 year gap. What are the 4 stars? Are you trying to censor something? We wouldn't have even known you were thinking something if you didn't say. Okay. I got the inside of his cloak. I'm gonna do with the brush. One thing I'm conflicted with is I kind of want to darken his cape a bit to add more contrast for this overlap, but if I do it too much, I lose the contrast on this side, so I'm not entirely sure what I want to do that way. Hey, Mars. Oh, okay. Thank you. That wasn't the intent, but if you want to interpret that, I guess it's creepy enough that could work. I was thinking of Dune a little bit actually. When I first was drawing him, I thought he was gonna be standing, and I was like, no, let's make him float like in Dune. Okay, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more contrast in there before I call it a night, but I won't go too crazy. think we got it, folks. I think we got it. Let's sign it. Oops. Thank you, JC. So I'll be back next week. My usual times, of course. I haven't 100% decided on Tuesday night stream. It might be one more fan art requests, or I might swap it up for something seasonal. I haven't decided yet. But the original one on Thursday is going to be something seasonal. Not as creepy as this, but not quite as, but still not super conventional or traditional either. Well, not live. I might color it before the. I'm not getting on the coloring mode as fast right now that I'm back into comic book work mode when I'm not streaming. But I might fast track this and a couple of other ones for the next couple of weeks, just because they're seasonal, you know. So I might, because I have some effect ideas I would probably play with some of these, some glows and things like that. So I definitely might. But how fast I get on it, I don't know. But yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.